question you about that, or question this witness, and to look at the veracity of what your claims are here.
This is Daryl Brooks, who most people know from his attack on the 2021 Waukesha Christmas Parade. After a fight with the mother of one of his children, Brooks drove his car through the parade, killing 5 people and injuring 16. He escaped on foot and hid in the home of a person who believed he was homeless and needed a meal. The homeowner soon became uncomfortable with what Brooks was saying and asked him to leave. As he was leaving the house, he was apprehended by the police.
2, because we have reason to believe that he did not get them from Erica Patterson. He is on a jail phone call talking to his mother, Dawn Woods, about Dawn Woods sending these photographs to him. Now,
that's a lie. I object to that.
Let the state make their argument without interruption, sir.
That's a lie, though.
Evidence must be made available to both the prosecution and defense. Otherwise, it can be dismissed, even in cases where it is otherwise a legitimate piece of evidence.
Impregnated Erica Patterson when she was a minor in Nevada, and for doing so, he was convicted of statutory sexual seduction, pled guilty in March of 2007 to that felony offense, and is a sex offender on the registry as a result. So if there's any causation that would lead to Erica Patterson being a bad mom, Mr. Brooks has a direct role in that causation.
The prosecution reveals some information that Brooks would have preferred to stay hidden. The mother of his child was under 18 when they had a relationship.
Open the door on how old she told me she was when
interrupting.
We can ask that question too then.
Over the top animated
Did you
right
know
now.
that?
Mr. Brooks, I'm ordering you to sit down and to let the state finish.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody be inaccurate on the record and lie on the record.
Right. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom.
Brooks interrupts the prosecution and speaks disrespectfully to the judge. Representing himself was probably the worst choice he could have made.
So let's open the door on all of it then, so we can get all of it on the record. Since you think you know so much, you did.
After the judge declares a recess, Brooks continues to rant. Shortly after this, Brooks was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Brooks has yet to show remorse and sees himself as a victim. Some courtroom outbursts are natural, but some have the added benefit of possessing the skill of a trained actor. Unlike Brooks, Jesse Smollett had enough support that he believed he could convince people that he was innocent. Instead, with the amount of evidence against him, his outburst is just embarrassing.
Friends in high places, elected public officials, people in the media, you've embarrassed them. You have to live with that. I don't know if those relationships can be repaired. You've become toxic in your own workplace. Your career future is uncertain at very best. It was really on a rocket ship to success, and now you've turned yourself into riches to rags, and it's so unfortunate. Your very name has become an adverb for lying.
The defendant is Jesse Smollett. He was indicted on 6 counts of felony disorderly conduct for 4 false police reports.
Imagine what could be worse than that. I'm trying to consider who you are as a person, how you got here, how somehow you strayed away from your family values, you let that dark, narcissistic, selfish, and arrogant side come out, and you persisted with it for years on this case. I'm fashioning the following sentence, and here's your sentence.
On January 29, 2019, Smollett told police that he was physically attacked outside of his apartment by 2 white men in MAGA hats, hurling racial and homophobic slurs. He claimed they attempted to strangle him with a rope fashioned into a noose. There was public outrage and a nationwide call for justice. However, Smollett's story didn't hold up under investigation. They discovered that Smollett paid 2 brothers who worked with him to stage the attack. He paid by check, and both men testified against him.
I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal.
Okay. Mr. Uche, let me inquire, are there any post-sentencing motions you care to present? Court is adjourned.
I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal.
Smollett's outburst is a dramatic attempt to make people believe that he will be harmed while in jail and that it will be covered up. And after the lies he is told, it is hard to take him seriously. The facial expressions of his defense team show that they know their client is making himself ridiculous, but there's nothing they can do without drawing more attention to his outburst. Smet was sentenced to 150 days in county jail and 2.5 years on probation. Smet was also ordered to pay restitution to the city of Chicago, $120,000 plus a $25,000 fine. He filed an appeal the next day and was released on bond, pending the outcome of the appeal. On December 1st, 2023, the court upheld his conviction. The next defendant also claimed that he was innocent and had to rely on emotion rather than training to fuel his outburst. While Smet gave a well-rehearsed speech, Javon Wolford could only hurl profanities, shocking those in court.
What evidence do you have? Let me know. What evidence do you have?
Javon Wolford has been charged with sexual battery and kidnapping. He and 3 other people lured a 17-year-old girl to an apartment. When she tried to leave, 2 girls beat her severely and forced her into the bedroom with Wolford. Afterward, she was discovered roaming the streets in shock and was taken to a hospital. Her wounds were severe. Several bones in her face were broken, and she was bleeding from her ears.
Wolford's attorney was stunned by the outburst.
I'm thinking it's frustration of being in jail for so long, November of 2013, and the other 4 co-defendants resolving their cases.
Schneider said it showed his character.
I think that, we saw basically what this young man, thinks of the system, what kind of respect he has for others.
The video is played for the court to see, detailing the brutal actions against the victim. Somewhere beneath the surface of his loud protests, Wolford must regret not taking the plea deal.
What evidence do you have? Let me know. What evidence do you have? What evidence have?
Ms. Schneider says you gave a statement admitting that you had
That
intercourse.
Where's the evidence? She said she was raped. She said she was raped. Where's the evidence showing that she was raped? Where's that evidence at?
Wolford's attorney tries to rationalize the outburst, but it doesn't inspire much sympathy.
When leaving, one final crude comment to the prosecutor.
Right.
And he has until June 19th to decide if he's going to take that plea or not. That plea would be 15 years in Florida prison.
Instead of taking the deal, Wolford chose to go on trial and risk a life sentence. Wolford was found guilty and sentenced to 30 years in prison. The others involved in the attack took plea deals. Patricia Montez and Erica Avery were sentenced to 4 years in prison. Lynell Singleton was sentenced to 4 years in prison as a youthful offender. Dwight Henry was sentenced to 2 years in prison, plus 4 years of probation and time served. Some judges are not so lenient about outbursts and aren't afraid to take extreme measures. One judge's reaction was more shocking than anything said by the defendant and left people questioning his choice.
Mr. Williams, I'm the judge in the matter. Shut your mouth, and I'll tell you when you can talk. You got it? It's the same rules we played by while we were here in trial, every time we were here for a pretrial. So just follow the same rules. Fair enough?
The defendant, Franklin Williams, is accused of committing 3 armed robberies. This is his second time going to trial after escaping from his first hearing.
I'm going to hear from your lawyers, and that means zip it.
But you're not letting me tell
That
you
means
what's going on.
zip it right now.
You trying to?
Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
No. Does the comment quit talking? Do you understand that?
Because you're trying to take my life.
No.
Judge Russo isn't going to stand for Williams's constant interruptions and firmly cuts him off.
To talk, I'm gonna gag you in 1 second, so just listen to me. Zip it until I give you a chance to talk. You'll get a chance to talk. I am gonna give you a chance to talk. Here it is again. So you said to me you understand this comment. Zip it right now.
Despite Judge Russo's warnings, Williams continues to interrupt. He may believe that the judge will not follow through.
Clear. If you spit on, attempt to bite, or injure any of my deputies, you're going to have a bad day.
None of that.
Oh, you
Put
clear.
the tape on me, man. We done with this shit. Here's what it is.
We'll go back on the record. Mr. Williams will have a chance to speak.
And I'll be monitoring everything I say.
Go ahead.
Officers surround Williams to tape his mouth shut. It is an action that is not used often in modern cases, but it is not without precedent. Williams was found guilty and sentenced to 33 years in prison. Unlike Williams, the next defendant is quiet through most of his trial, which is already shocking enough because of the victim being an infant. The nature of the case makes his final remarks all the more disgusting to the court.
Nothing prepared us for the screaming. Hours and hours of screaming.
Eric Pendin shook his infant son so hard that the child was permanently disabled. He became deaf and blind and will have to use a feeding tube for the rest of his life. He is not expected to be able to walk.
We'll rely on others to bathe him, dress him, change his diapers, feed him, administer his pain medications.
Sharon Lawson, Eric Jr.'s adoptive mother, advocates for him in court, something she will have to continue to do for the rest of his life. Pendin remains unmoved.
That this entire record is absolutely devoid of any remorse by the defendant.
The prosecution asks for the maximum sentence, which is 11 years.
Man. I didn't do anything wrong, man.
As if to emphasize that he cares more about his sentence than the suffering he has inflicted on his son, Pendin swears at the prosecution as he leaves. Pendin's family condemned his actions, but sometimes the defendant's family gets in on the drama as well. When Robert Howes is sentenced, his family isn't afraid to let the judge know they strongly disagree.
He didn't learn his lesson and was not rehabilitated, and I'm requesting that he receive the maximum sentence allowed by law.
The speaker, former NFL receiver Joe Jaravicius, was the latest victim of the defendant. He was held at gunpoint in his Cleveland home, afraid that the burglar would turn his attention to his wife and children. After taking the cash in the home safe, the family was left unharmed but shaken. The defendant, Robert Howes, had committed multiple armed robberies before being caught.
Counts 9 and 10, there are no sentences because they merged with count 5. Count 11, the disrupting public service, a felony of 4th degree, I sentence you to 12 months. The gun specifications on count 1.
As he is being sentenced, Howes starts to lose control and looks as if he is close to throwing a tantrum.
Fucking bullshit, man! You fucked up, man! Bullshit, man! Fuck, man!
Howes has been sentenced to a total of 43 years. He is 24 years old and is devastated at the news. Howes' cry acts as a signal to his family and friends, who begin to hurl insults at the judge. Howes later appealed his case, but the sentence was upheld.